Plastic is everywhere. It's in containers and bags and bottles, a convenient staple of American homes and businesses for decades.
Plastics help save you from dents and broken bones.
But it can also break down into tiny pieces called microplastics that are less than 5 millimeters in diameter, some a fraction of the width of a strand of hair, and nanoplastics, which are even tinier. Researchers are still learning what it means for us, but they say these plastic pieces are getting inside our bodies through what we eat and drink. At the University of Rhode Island, microplastics scientist Victoria Fulfer, who works with a nonprofit researching plastics pollution, set up a demonstration to show us.
First up, Victoria, a very common item a lot of people have in their homes.
Exactly. Plastic cutting boards are everywhere, so we're going to cut this onion and see how much microplastic comes off.
After we sliced and rinsed a couple pieces of the onion, the filtered water revealed what Fulfer expected, tiny pieces of plastic from the cutting board.
So what are we looking at right there? That looks like a piece of red plastic.
Exactly. That is most likely a microplastic that came straight off that cutting board.
And when she cut up an entire onion, we found many more.
All of these red particles are from that cutting board.
And that's ending up in what we eat, which ends up in our bodies.
Exactly.
A recent study from the University of Nebraska found heating a plastic container in the microwave caused more microplastics and nanoplastics to get into food than refrigerating the container or keeping it at room temperature. So we wanted to see how much plastic would be released from a common black plastic takeout container. These black plastic pieces came off a takeout container Fulfer microwaved.
A lot of containers that we see say microwave safe. What does that actually mean?
So mostly when a container says microwave safe, it means it's safe for the container to be in the microwave. It's not going to melt. But that doesn't mean that it's safe for you as a person, because microwaving plastic allows any chemicals that are in those plastics to leach from that container into the food that you're heating up.
What about these plastic containers used for leftovers? Fulfer microwaved peas in one.
This is something a lot of people use to take their lunch to work or to store food in the fridge.
Exactly.
And that's the plastic you found?
That's the plastic that came off of it, yeah.
And what about those paper cups used for hot drinks? They're often lined with plastic, and when we heated water and stirred it, that's what we found.
Here, we can see 2 polyethylene fragments.
Researchers say all that plastic in our food and drinks might be adding up in our bodies. A recent study found high levels of microplastics in human brains, and there appeared to be more in people with dementia. But the researchers don't know whether more plastic actually caused those symptoms. Another study found people with microplastics in the plaque in their arteries had a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, or death, though it also doesn't prove a direct cause. Dr. Leo Tresande, who directs NYU's Center for Investigation of Environmental Hazards, says potential health effects could be wide-ranging.
We're talking about cardiovascular mortality. We're also talking about hormone-sensitive cancers, breast, thyroid, ovarian, not to mention kidney cancer that have been associated with these chemical exposures.
In a statement, the Plastics Industry Association said, in part, these materials are not only safe, but also essential to our daily lives, keeping food fresh, ensuring medical supplies remain sterile, and enhancing overall quality of life.
What do you say to people who say this concern over plastics is way overblown? We're overreacting.
Unfortunately, the science talks.
To cut down on plastics, researchers say choose glass or stainless steel containers, try wooden cutting boards, and use glass or ceramic in the microwave.
What is your bottom line takeaway then when it comes to plastics?
So we need to take the safe and simple steps now to reduce our plastic footprint.
It is a lot of food for thought. And by the way, just putting plastic in hot food, putting hot food in plastic can get microplastics into your meal. We did it. We put hot pasta in a black plastic container at the lab. We didn't even microwave it. We rinsed it, filtered it, and we saw microplastics. So scientists from China also finding that when people eat off of disposable plastic tableware, they have more microplastics in their bodies because it's just the heat that really speeds up all of that plastic and the chemicals leaching into whatever you're consuming. So think twice before you use hot food items or hot drinks in plastic containers.
Do we know how much plastic, how much of those microplastics is too much?
That is the key question everybody is trying to figure out, Craig, because there is no level that they would say, okay, this much plastic floating around in your body is good or bad, which is why they say look for all of those alternatives. And think about the containers that you put your food in when you're going to the grocery store, what you're buying. Buy the bulk instead and just put it in your cloth bag or just put it right in your cart, wash it when you get home, and put it in a glass bowl. Because even like the blueberries that come in plastic, that's microplastics that's getting on your fruit.
Well, we cut an onion on a plastic, on that thing you did. We do that every night.
Yeah,
everyone
so
does.
maybe a wooden cutting board
You
is
can't
better.
drive yourself crazy over it, but it's like a little awareness.
Right.
Absolutely. Once you know, you can't unknow.
Right.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.